Okay, everybody, so today we got a little bit of a different project than the last two videos, but kind of in the same genre of things. This is one of my family's Chevy C60s. It's a rock truck, and I got a call a week or two ago that it had no brakes whatsoever. So I didn't take any videos of it because it's kind of a pain, but I tried bleeding out and I wasn't getting any pressure, even pressure in front of the vacuum booster that's down under the fender. So that points us to a master cylinder. So today I'm gonna be throwing one of those on. I bought a tripod for the camera or cell phone, so maybe I'll be able to put out a little bit better video quality for y'all. But before that, just kind of show you the truck. It's had its life. It's got some wear marks. It's got some experience on it. But it's actually, in my opinion, it's pretty nice looking. You know, they talk about the patina, but you know, on a vehicle that's meant to get worked and not look pretty, sometimes those dents and the little imperfections give it some character. So, but you'll be seeing more of it, and I'll get back to you here in a minute. So, okay, so the first step of doing this is you're gonna want to be inside the truck. There's absolutely no way I could have filmed that because you're up, you know, on top of the steering column. But so on your brake pedal, it connects to the rod that pushes into your master cylinder. So you have the brake pedal, and then the rod comes off it like this. You'll have a little bolt like this. It'll have well, it's got a hole in it for a key. You have to pull that out or cut it. I had to cut it just because it was so stiff and rusted in. Then 3/4 on this side and 9/16 on that side, and pull. And you'll want to disconnect that push lever. I don't pull it out quite yet, but I'm not sure if there's a right or wrong way to doing that. That's just how I do it. So after you get that done, you'll want to hop up to the hood, and then I'll show you what happens from there. Okay, so now that we're up top, master cylinder. If you didn't know that was the master cylinder already, you probably shouldn't be attempting to do this, in all honesty. But, you know, I'm kind of doing this in a how-to sort of style, so I'll explain it anyway. So your brake pedal, when it compresses that, pulls fluid out of your reservoir, pushes it down. Unlike most modern stuff, if you do this on a newer truck, car, whatever, it'll have normally 2 output lines, but on these older ones, they only have 1 because it runs down to a booster that's under the fender. I'm really hoping the booster under the fender is good, because if it's bad, you can't find that part anywhere. So I'm really hoping it's this master cylinder, which is what I think it is, but kind of crossing our fingers on that one. So I'll get the wrenches and everything to start taking this off, and then I'll be back on. Okay, so this part is relatively simple. 1/2 inch for the line, 9/16 for the 2 bolts that go back into the cab. I'll put this on time lapse or something, so you can kind of see me working on it and don't have to sit here for like 5 minutes and watch me turn wrenches. Okay, so got the master cylinder popped off right here. That went surprisingly well. Normally the lines on these older trucks are completely seized on. If they are, line wrenches are your best bet. If you start stripping it, don't just keep cranking. All you'll do is tear it up. So now I've got to go over and we'll start bench bleeding the new master cylinder, and then after that we'll start throwing it back together. Okay, so this process is pretty simple. Pretty much every master cylinder you're ever going to have comes with this manual. Read it. I know normally everybody swears against reading these things, but it's actually helpful in here. So the best way to bleed them, you got to take your top off. And then you can either use a plug or one of these little line tools. Basically what this does is threads into the outlet port and you put it back up in here. Then you also have a bleeder on here, but that's for later. And you fill it full of new brake fluid. Don't try reusing it or some stupid crap like that. That will never end well. And then once you get it full, you do 3/4 to 1 inch strokes. You don't want to depress it all the way. You can blow seals out and just have a bad day. So yeah, take the top off, get this threaded in, and get started. Okay, so here's the setup. It says you want to fill this until it starts dripping out of the outlet port. Once it does that, you know most of the air's out of it. Then I'm gonna hook that back up into here so I don't have to keep filling it and wasting brake fluid. I've got the old rod which I'm gonna use to depress it. You don't touch that until you've got some fluid in there. So yeah, we'll get started. on these older trucks, the brakes in my lifetime, which isn't as long as the trucks have been around by any means, the brakes never work that well. If you aren't able to downshift the truck, you're probably not going to be able to stop. The brakes are to slow you down, not stop you all the way, because once you get a load of rock or grain or scrap metal, whatever the multitude of things these trucks are used for, in there, you weigh a lot. And drum brakes that are hydraulic from the 60s and 70s and up until the 80s on some of them, it's really not that good of a design, to be completely honest. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, you want brakes. If you're working on one of these and you have no clue what you're doing, you don't want to screw it up, because that gets into the territory if somebody gets hurt, and you don't want that. You don't want somebody to get hurt. You don't want to put out bad work. So just try and do a good job. Don't go too far over your head with some things. That's just doing short little pumps until you start getting fluid out, which this isn't exactly the most fun thing to do, sit here for however long it might take and pump on a frickin' master cylinder, but you gotta do it. It's better than, as they explicitly tell you in the manual, don't just put it on the vehicle and try doing it there, because you'll never get it to bleed out all the way. Okay, so I got that bled. It's a huge pain in the butt. I'm not going to show it all on camera. There's no sense in me sitting there and pumping on a little rod for 20 minutes. Nobody's getting anything out of that. So, just keep pumping until no air is coming up out of the little ports inside the reservoir, and then we are ready to throw it on the truck. Okay, so putting it back on is the reverse of before. You're not going to be able to stick your rod in, or there's no real point in sticking your rod in yet. On these older trucks, it doesn't clip in or anything like on the new ones, so you don't have to worry about it. We'll just slide it in when we start putting the pedal back together. So yeah, I am probably going to leave the little hose I have hooked on there up until I get the bolt started at least, because I don't want to let very much fluid drain out, because that's just putting air in the system. So hopefully we can avoid getting air in there, and we'll get this thrown on. Okay, so got that thrown on. Wasn't too bad. Getting brake lines to line up always seems to be a problem for me. I don't know if it's luck or what, but they just don't participate, but that's fine. So we've got that on there. Pretty much next up, I'll put the pedal rod back on, which I'm not going to show you because it's one bolt and there's no way you're going to film under there. And then after that, I'll have to find some help and I'll start bleeding the truck. So yeah. Okay, so got the push rod put back in. Make sure that you put the pin back in that bolt, because you can get as tight as you want, do whatever, but if it does decide to back off, that's not something you want falling off. So it's just a safety measure. Don't skip little stuff like that when it takes 2 extra seconds. And I don't grease things like that either, because it's just a little steel on steel connection, because all you end up doing in a truck like this, the grease will just pick up dirt and just wear out faster. Like all the levers on your carburetors and stuff, you don't really want to lubricate any of those. It'll just make your life more miserable. I've got somebody coming over to help me now, so we're going to try to bleed it. We'll start up here with a little bleeder on the master, then work down to the booster, then do all four wheels. I'll probably set up a time lapse or a sped up video for doing some of it. It'll take a while. There's no sense in watching all of it. So, yeah. The misery of doing brakes on these. Okay, down. Up. Okay, down. Up. Okay, pump it a little bit. Yeah, just pump the brakes. No, you're fine. Do this. Okay, down. Up. Down. Up. Pump it up. And then hold it down.
Alright, it's down.
Up. Does it feel any different at all?
It's a little more resistance.
A little more? Okay.
Yeah.
That is good. Okay, down. Hey, we might be getting somewhere. Okay, up.
Okay, it's up.
Down.
Down.
Up.
Okay, it's up.
Down.
Down.
Okay, up.
Okay, up. Okay, you can go down. Bill, you ready to rumble? Yeah. Okay, down. Up. Down. Push it down. That's good. Down. Moving. Is the pedal moving down? Okay. Okay. Hop out.
Okay, so got the front and rear bled out, which went surprisingly well. Normally on these old trucks, it doesn't. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm pretty unlucky, and it seems like it might have worked. So I'm gonna get the mess picked up, and then I might try to prop you all up on the dash or something and take it for a test drive. But pretty much these trucks, with the way the booster is, you'll bleed them and it still won't feel like you have complete pedal. You should be able to, when you crack the bleeder loose with the pedal down, the pedal should drop a little more, and that's how you know you don't have air in there. But once you start the engine and it has vacuum, you'll actually get the full pressure and the brake will stiffen up, which it did, so that's good. So yeah, I'm gonna pick up and then we'll go for a drive. Okay, these trucks are cantankerous to say the least. It's got a 366 and some sort of transmission in it. All I know is reverse is all the way to the left and backwards. So I can kind of sort out the rest of the gears from there. We're gonna take it for a quick test drive and see if the brakes work. So here we go. Normally on these trucks like this, the brake systems on them they're just super outdated. It helps if you turn the parking brake off. Normally you can Well, if they work, they're not something you want to mess with. You don't want to go trying to put new pads or anything like that on them, because they're just so, that's not a good gear to use, but they're just so screwy that you don't really want to go playing with stuff that is working. Because normally when one part on the brakes goes bad, well, let's say like I put a master cylinder in this one. Normally you end up putting a master on, and then as you're bleeding it, you've got more pressure than you used to, and then all of a sudden your one of your slave cylinder blows out, which is, it really just, it normally turns into a spiral of badness. But I guess we got lucky this time. So here's, see if we got brakes, which we do. They locked up, so that's better than it had before by a significant amount. But yeah, like I said, normally when you work on these, a lot of mechanics don't even like working on them, just because they're just so screwy. So I guess we got lucky, but I'll take you all on a little drive here and we'll just see how it does. The old 366 with some screwed up exhaust manifolds sounds pretty interesting. But, so yeah, we're just here on the family farm. So there you have it. Took it on the test drive. Everything worked well. So this thing's smoking, but that's just because brake fluid getting down on the exhaust, and then it's got a hydraulic leak down for the pump for the dump. But other than that, should be good to go. If y'all want to see more stuff like this, just let me know. On a farm, so there's plenty of items to work on, and I've got a few other projects maybe coming down the pipeline in the next year or so. So we'll see what happens. So thank you for watching. I hate asking this, but if you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe even, because if I can make it to 1,000 subscribers, I can start bringing in a little bit of money from YouTube, and then, you know, funding more projects like this and giving you all more entertaining stuff to watch. So I'll see you around.